Mr. Benayer, if you'd please stand, accompanied by Mr. Haddad.
The sentencing
Based upon the verdict of the
Marc
jury,
Benayer.
it's the judgment and sentence of this court that you be found and adjudicated guilty of the crime of first-degree murder with a firearm. And that on that charge, you be remanded to the Department of Corrections to serve a term of natural life. As to the other crimes, you were also adjudicated guilty of the crimes of improper exhibition of a firearm in counts 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3, and 5, all of which are first-degree misdemeanors, and also convicted of the crime of discharge of firearm in public, another first-degree misdemeanor, and that you be sentenced to a term of 1 year on each of those crimes, all to run concurrently with credit for the time that you've already served. And lastly, that you be found and adjudicated guilty of the crime of aggravated assault, count 4, with a firearm, and that you be remanded to the Department of Corrections to serve a term of 3 years as a mandatory minimum sentence.
Your natural life. He's 81. He'll spend probably a year in jail before he passes away.
All counts and sentences are to run concurrent with the life sentence.
Concurrently means they all run together. It's not one, a year for firearm, a year for murder. They all run at the same time.
$473, for which amount let execution issue.
So after a trial filled with all sorts of drama in the courtroom, no real suspense in terms of the sentence imposed, as you heard the judge say, life in prison. Lisa, why no real suspense here in terms of that decision?
Because in Florida it's mandatory.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that really is sad. Come on. He should be off the streets, but he's 81 years old, and he's obviously not competent. I think that he should go to a mental health facility to live out the rest of his life. But yikes. Guilty on all counts. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
He'd have the freedom to get on the internet. He'd have the freedom to set up
wow. Okay, well that's it. Marc Benayer, guilty on all charges to serve out his natural life in the Florida State of Corrections.
Yeah, thank God he's not going to a hospital. I think that a hospital
Justice?
is convenient in terms of how to restrict this person's
I say yes, but I think he needs to be in a mental health facility for the rest of his life. He's obviously nuts. He's obviously like goo 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 goo. You know, all his wheels aren't spinning. Come on. And it's not a black and white thing just because he's a white man. Absolutely not. A murderer is a murderer. That's all. Doesn't matter what color their skin is, so don't post saying, oh, see, another white boy gets free. He's in prison for the rest of his life, and he's white.